Behind-the-scenes stories from the galaxy far, far away's film and TV shows are littered with accidents, incidents, and misfortunes that had to be overcome in order to produce iconic scenes. Damaged equipment, injured actors, crazed fans. Star Wars has seen it all and is still going strong. And while you may already love some of these scenes, be prepared to view them in an entirely new light once you find out just how much stress they cause those working on them. Gareth here from What Culture Star Wars, and here are 10 more Star Wars scenes even more impressive when you know the truth. Number 10, a rainstorm almost ruined everything, A New Hope. Tatooine, arguably the most important planet in all of Star Wars. It's the first planet we visit in the Skywalker saga and the final one. In the order in which they were made, of course, otherwise we'd be sat here talking about Naboo. The surface of the Twin Sun desert world was mimicked here on Earth in Tunisia, a very dry country right next to the Sahara. Great, thought George Lucas, what could possibly go wrong? Then the heavens opened. The shooting of the first scenes on Tatooine was significantly delayed because of an extremely rare rainstorm. Thankfully, Lucas did what he does best and ignored the obvious signs. He persisted and finally captured those iconic scenes on the Skywalker's homeworld. Number 9, Liam Neeson's wig was lost, The Phantom Menace. Much like the first film of the original trilogy, the first film of the prequel trilogy was also beset by weather-related issues. George Lucas stared down the gods once again when he returned to Tunisia to film the Tatooine sequences for this film. Not to be trifled with, the deity sent yet another warning to the director, this time in the form of a sandstorm. This huge phenomenon caused serious damage to several sets and props being used on the film, including the pod racers. This was a disaster, as that scene is the best thing in the entire Phantom Menace. That and the Duel of the Fates, of course. Perhaps the greatest tragedy of all those suffered during the storm fell at the feet of Liam Neeson, or rather on the top of his head. The Qui-Gon Jinn actor lost his long brunette wig, robbing the Jedi of his iconic hairstyle. Thankfully, the hairpiece was replaced, and Qui-Gon could strut about on camera living his best flowy life. When the Star Wars team returned to Tunisia to shoot scenes for Attack of the Clones, things actually went off without a hitch, which is a shame because that meant we all had to sit through that terrible movie. Number 8, Grogu took 4 puppeteers to operate. The Mandalorian. In the previous list on this topic, which you should definitely go and check out, we covered the fact that the galaxy's greatest slug, Jabba the Hutt, needed 7 people to operate him. That's a lot of effort, but it does sort of make sense. The Jabba puppet was huge, with arms, a tail, and a head to control. So pray tell why 4 different people were needed to work the minuscule Grogu puppet in the Disney Plus show The Mandalorian. Grogu, also known as Baby Yoda to people who don't really like Star Wars, is tiny. Jabba probably has bowel movements larger than he is. Hell, I do. That is a lot of information I should not have just said. So why were 4 people needed to bring him to life? Created by Legacy Effects, the Grogu puppet was relied on heavily during The Mandalorian, as the crew wanted to avoid CGI where possible. One person would be in charge of the critter's head and body, another its eyes, another its mouth, and another its arms. That is an insane amount of people working on a puppet the size of Mando's head. This makes practically any scene involving the little green fella more impressive, especially the ones where he is most active. Number 7, Acto was overrun with puffins, The Last Jedi. Though it appears very briefly at the end of The Force Awakens, the planet of Acto is one of the main settings for The Last Jedi. You know, that film every Star Wars fan unanimously loves. It is the hiding spot of Luke Skywalker following the demise of his new Jedi Order at the hands of Kylo Ren. Rey tracks the Master down there to try and recruit him to the Resistance. In his best grumpy old man voice, Luke says no. In real life, Acto is the island of Skellig Michael off the southwest coast of Ireland. It's about 54 acres big, home to a medieval monastery, and became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1996. It's also full of birds. The island is home to several species of seabird, including gannets, razorbills, and puffins. There were so many of that last one that it presented a massive headache for director Rian Johnson. He couldn't film around them, and it would take too long to digitally remove them, so he just decided to roll with it and put them in the film. And that's where Porgs came from, so now you know. Number 6, the Darth Vader suit was intentionally uncomfortable, Revenge of the Sith. The scene in Revenge of the Sith where Anakin Skywalker first dons the famous black helmet might be more famous for its French dub. but it is the canonically first glimpse we get of Darth Vader. After Obi-Wan used the high ground to leave Anakin for dead on Mustafar, Palpatine rescues his new apprentice and shoves his charred remains inside of a big Halloween costume. Said costume might look impressive on screen, but for actor Hayden Christensen it was the stuff of nightmares. In his infinite wisdom, Lucas made the Vader suit intentionally top-heavy. This was done so Christensen wouldn't feel comfortable in the suit, which would reflect Vader's adjustment period to his new exoskeleton. A good idea from an artistic point of view, but practically this was not the smartest decision. Poor Hayden must have hated trying to wobble around in a deliberately wonky costume on a dark set. No wonder Vader only gets up and walks around for a little bit in Revenge of the Sith. Christensen must have been exhausted. At least Lucas didn't try and take him back to Tunisia for this scene. That would have been the icing on the cake, wouldn't it? Number 5. Mark Hamill blew out a blood vessel, A New Hope. The trash compactor scene from A New Hope is one of the most iconic in the entire franchise. Luke, Han and Leia attempting to overcome both the rapidly approaching walls and the mysterious creature that dwells in the sewage water is classic stuff. Although in real life, one actor was facing a very different obstacle. Mark Hamill revealed on Twitter that he attempted to make Luke look as strangulated as possible to add to the realism of the scene. This backfired as he managed to pop a blood vessel in his eye. This was not in the script, obviously, so the crew had to film the side with Luke's good eye on it to cover for the injury. Worst of all, Lucas then told Hamill that his technique was pointless, as the lighting would have obscured it anyway. What do you like, George? Number 4. Chewbacca had anti-Bigfoot hunter protection, Return of the Jedi. Peter Mayhew. The gentle giant sadly passed away in 2019 from a heart attack, but not before giving the world numerous memories as the most famous man inside the Chewbacca costume. Mayhew's height, an eye-watering 7'3", made him the perfect candidate to portray the gigantic Wookiee. It also garnered him a lot of attention, sometimes from the wrong people. Filming for scenes in Return of the Jedi taking place on Endor took place in the forests of North California, aka Bigfoot country. Owing to his huge height and furry outfit, Mayhew was warned not to wander off set unsupervised in case he was mistaken for a Sasquatch and shot at by hunters. In fact, Mayhew got a special escort in the form of people in orange vests to alert people that he was not the missing link. Whilst this may sound ridiculous, put yourself in this position. You're wandering through the woods, lost and afraid, when all of a sudden you come across a giant hairy figure roaring in the middle of the woods. Don't tell me your brain wouldn't immediately jump to Bigfoot. Number 3. Fans broke into the Sarlacc pit, Return of the Jedi. Lovers of the series definitely embody the fanatical part of being a fan. Star Wars enthusiasts have long had a reputation for being amongst the nerdiest, more devoted followers of any franchise. This was exemplified during the filming of Return of the Jedi, when a group of devotees managed to get onto the set. Not just any set, mind you, the set of the battle between our heroes and the forces of Jabba the Hutt above the Sarlacc's lair. Don't you know what happens if you fall in there? Ask Boba Fett. Not put off by the idea of being digested, the fans not only managed to get past security, but also snapped a few pictures. Thankfully, this was in a pre-internet age, so the secret of the Sarlacc remained unshared. Breaking into anywhere is highly ill-advised. Breaking onto a movie set which is full of pyrotechnics, heavy equipment, and angry actors is even more so. Luckily, these irresponsible fans didn't do any harm, and didn't reveal any of the movie's spoilers. But imagine how differently things could have been if the release of Return of the Jedi was delayed because a few idiots wanted some cheeky snaps. Number 2. Pedro Pascal injured his face right before his face reveal, The Mandalorian. The reveal of Din Djarin's face in The Mandalorian is one of the biggest moments of the entire show. They did it way more often than they should have, i.e. more than once, but it was still a cool moment to catch a glimpse of the visage hiding beneath that chromed helmet. The first and what should have been the only time we see Mando's face is during the 8th episode of Season 1, when the droid IG-11 removes his helmet to tend to his wounds. In a case of art mirroring life, actor Pedro Pascal had hurt himself for real right before this scene was filmed. The star himself said, "I stepped out of the makeup trailer looking at my sides and walked into a piece of plywood." This faux pas cut open the bridge of his nose and required 7 stitches. All this happened before they had filmed his big helmet removal scene. But as show creators Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau would later note, the legit injury actually worked for the scene, due to Mando being in fairly bad shape at that point. Lemons and lemonade and all that. Number 1, I Am Your Father was a huge secret, The Empire Strikes Back. Is it the most famous twist in movie history? If not, then it's up there, right? Like top 2, 3, yeah. Vader dropping the F-bomb, the F stands for father, on Luke in The Empire Strikes Back is the moment that launched Star Wars into the stratosphere, and is still the most famous line in the whole series. To protect this classic moment from leaking ahead of time, Lucas and Irving Kershner went to some pretty extreme lengths. In the script, the line from Vader was actually changed to "Obi-Wan killed your father," and even Luke himself didn't know about the revelation until one day before the scene was shot. Mark Hamill got told the real line by Kershner, and then had to keep it a secret both from his castmates and crew, not to mention the rest of the planet, for over a year. All this hard work paid off in the end, and the twist is still as shocking today as it ever was. The fact they couldn't tell the guy who played Darth Vader, David Prowse, his own biggest secret will never not be funny though. And that's our list. Know of any other Star Wars scenes even more impressive when you know the truth? Let us know all about them in the comment section right down below, and do not forget to like, share and click on that subscribe button while you're at it. Also, if this kind of thing is your bag, then head on over to whatculture.com and find some more fantastic articles just like the one this video you're watching right this second is based on. I've been Gareth from What Culture Star Wars. Thank you very much for watching this video today. May the Force be with you, and hopefully I'll see you very, very soon. Bye bye!